morning. This is Anna Patterson with the North Carolina Housing Coalition. Thank you for joining us this morning for our housing call. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our Director of Housing Policy, Stephanie Watkins-Cruz.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a great week so far, and I hope that you're staying warm and safe in this North Carolina version of a snowstorm. The top things this week that we're going to touch on, we're going to highlight the latest letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development that is encouraging discriminatory screening practices, but does not change any of the actual underlying requirements that the law has. There's also a proposed public charge rule, and so there will be a sign-on letter that will ask folks to join. And then, unfortunately, the Road to Housing Act did not make it into the National Defense Authorization Act. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with the HUD update. So recently, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, sent a letter to public housing authorities and owners of different project-based rental assistance places or developments and encourage them to use arrest and criminal records in tenant screenings. The letter also encourages them to advertise a hotline that residents can call to report neighbors they think may be undocumented or involved in criminal activity. It's really, really important, and there is a memo that will link in the call notes for you as well that explains not only the issues with this, but clears up some of the confusion in this regard. But our partners at the National Income Housing Coalition mentioned in their memo that this letter does not change any underlying legal requirements regarding admissions and evictions. And so any discretionary admissions and eviction policies remain up to the public housing authorities and their owners, but other laws still prohibit discrimination, such as the Fair Housing Act and the Violence Against Women Act. These things still apply. We've been saying this for the past several weeks, but we're going to continue to lift it up and mention it. We advocate for affordable housing not only because we believe in it, but we believe that every North Carolinian deserves this, and we believe that we can actually achieve, and we want to see healthy, thriving communities in North Carolina. And operations that include racial profiling or targeted public harassment and arrests by masked agents or getting your neighbors to call a hotline over just suspicion, it does not fall in line with that. Moving on to the public charge sign-on letter, the Department of Homeland Security published a proposed public charge rule in the Federal Register a few weeks ago. This rule allows critical services to be considered when applying for a visa or a green card. Without specifying the programs under consideration, this actually removes the 2022 Biden public charge rule. And if finalized, this rule would actually target and harm immigrant families' access to key services and create a culture of inaccessibility and fear. You can draft a comment on behalf of your organization using the Protecting Immigrant Families comment template and submitting it on the Federal Register by December 19th at midnight. And the comment strategy here is really focused on substantive evidence-based comments rather than as many comments as possible. So we want to make sure that we're focusing and highlighting the high cost of homelessness and housing insecurity when immigrant families and families in general avoid services because of the chilling effect that is being caused by the public charge rule. So we'll have all that information, not only the rule, but the comment template in the call notes for you as well. Last but not least, in federal updates, unfortunately, the Road to Housing Act did not make it into the National Defense Authorization Act, and the House will vote on the NDAA tomorrow without the Road to Housing Act provision attached as a rider. There have been a lot of bipartisan efforts in the Senate and the House. The Senate did attach the Road to Housing Act in the first piece of sort of look that they were having, and the Road to Housing Act represents really the first piece of comprehensive bipartisan housing legislation to come from the Senate in over 10 years. House Financial Service Committee Chair French Hill said that House Republicans were opposed to many of the provisions in the Road to Housing Act and plan to put forth their own housing bill next month. However, Politico reports that House Republicans are still divided on the decision to actually exclude the rider from the NDAA. Moving on to state updates. The General Assembly has a few dates and committee meetings on the calendar for next week, but we still are not expecting any action on the state budget until after the new year, if even then. There is going to be a joint legislative oversight committee on justice and public safety that's meeting on December 11th this week at 1 p.m. So we'll have the link to stream the meeting and the call notes for you as well. In disaster recovery updates, I wanted to lift up that North Carolina, the programs to repair and rebuild multifamily and workforce housing in the Western counties are going to begin accepting applications in early 2026, according to Governor Josh Stein. The multifamily housing applications will be in the first part of the year, and workforce housing will follow that. And this is part of this sort of staggered approach that was used due to capacity issues, but also to try and get as many people enrolled in the single family program as possible, as quickly as possible. Originally, the hope was to get multifamily and workforce housing development programs and repairs up in late 2025 this year, but again, it's looking more like early 2026. As of just last week, there are under 5,000 active applications for single-family housing rebuild and repair, according to state data. And when looking at the multifamily housing repairs and rebuilds, it's going to focus on rentals that are separated into two categories. The first category, small projects with 4 or fewer units, and then large projects with 5 or more units. And so these projects can also include those that are mixed use, and large project applications can include both for-profit developers, nonprofits, and local governments. If projects under the program have received or could receive low-income housing tax credits, the state is going to continue to consult with our friends over at the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, because there is a priority to be given to projects developed in areas with high costs relative to the area median gross income. And so they're going to be really intentional about that. There is still an application open for the Renew North Carolina Single Family Housing Program, again till the end of the year. But as I just mentioned, 5,000 applications are open. This application portal is going to be open until the end of the month. And this program, it's a centralized housing rehab, reconstruction, or replacement program that will prioritize low to moderate income families with seniors age 62 and older, children, and or disabled household members that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene. We have resources as well as a related toolkit in English and in Spanish for you in the call notes if you are interested in learning more about it or in sharing it to your networks. And moving on to headlines and reports, events, and resources, there is and Mecklenburg County, there is a recent surge in attempts to build trust and to attempt to collaborate with Health and Human Services. This is out in Mecklenburg County, and building trust efforts with the unhoused community happening out in Greensboro. In reports and resources, there are a few different things. One thing that I want to lift up, actually two, there is a piece from the Coates Cannons, North Carolina Local Government Law blog on mobile home moving permits. And then we want to lift up, if you weren't on our webinar last week, the Census Bureau expects to publish the 2020 to 2024 ACS data in late January. Because of this, county profiles will be delayed due to this delay, but we will make sure to still release the county profiles in early spring, and we'll update you on that deadline as soon as that data is released. We are going to continue to include community resources so that folks know their rights and can share this information with their networks. And the only other thing that we want to lift up is there is a virtual organizing town hall happening today from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. That will actually be looking at the different components of House Bill 369 and others from this year's legislative session. So if you're interested in learning more about that bill and more around about the energy around it, we'll have the link in the call notes for you to check out. Thank you, as always, for joining the call. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you next time.